Yep, we're putting a lot of hours into this foundation. This is gonna be a really sturdy house.
Can we put the roof on yet?
What? Dude, the walls aren't even up yet.
Oh, but it's fine. The roof is my favorite part.
But, you can't just... Hey guys, welcome to another How to Draw Furries tutorial. If the pre-roll didn't tip you off, we're gonna be doing another fundamentals lesson today.
But I drew like a zillion squares already.
Perfect. You've been making progress, so keep it up. That's exactly what we need to move forward into this next segment. We're gonna go over using grids to lay things out. If you've ever watched me draw on one of my live streams, you may have seen my super messy grid format. And to the untrained eye, it may look like I'm hardly doing anything, but that's because I've done this so many times, I'm doing a lot of this in my head and on the fly. So as long as you keep practicing, you will be able to do that as well. I'm going to do my best to break this down into easily digestible pieces, but let me know in the comments if anything is confusing. Okay, so first off, why should we bother gridding things? So when you were a kid, did you ever get one of those coloring books with the drawing grids? There would be half a picture, and then the idea would be that you would draw the rest of the picture by copying and mirroring whatever was in the opposite square. If you hadn't seen or tried one of these, it made things pretty easy because you could focus on a line or two and their placements within a single square at a time, instead of being overwhelmed by the idea of having to draw something big out with a lot of detail. This grid format, it turns out, is actually a great way to determine where your features need to lie. It's especially important to understand how to use the grid when you start learning how to draw in perspective. It can remove a lot of decision making, and since you're not actively trying to decide where pieces go, you're just decoding where the logical placement should be. If this sounds like it's too rigid for you, keep in mind that as you grow, your personal grid method is going to evolve. This is just a base starting technique for practice, but over time, you're going to customize it based on your style. We're going to start using the grid as to how it pertains to something like heads, like maybe for furries or something, but this grid technique can be used for pretty much anything. Cars, buildings, landscapes, spaceships, this is going to be helpful no matter what you're going to draw. So go ahead and grab that sketchbook and let's get gridding. Gridding is a method of breaking down a larger object into smaller, more manageable parts. We use this process to simplify complex shapes and determine what goes where before we commit to drawing our line art. You've already worked on your circles and squares in the last few videos, but if you haven't, consider jumping back to those videos. There's a link in the description below. Once you've done that, let's go ahead and bring those circles and squares you worked on into 3D space. I found these clear doodad things on the internet and I thought they would make perfect examples for what we're going over today. So let's just look at these head on to start. Your first line creates the form of your shape. That's these lines here. These are the circles and squares that you practiced in the previous episodes. So now we're going to draw this same shape but on a different plane. So now we have two axes that this circle is drawn on. When we rotate these shapes around, notice how the perception of our shape we drew has changed. We drew a circle, but from the front, we see a straight line. When we turn the sphere left or right, our line changes into an oval, but eventually becomes a circle if we turn it enough. The same thing happens to our cube. It looks like a line from the front. It turns into a rectangle as we turn it around, but it eventually becomes a cube again. So let's add another axis to the middle of both of these shapes. And that looks good right there. And paint it across. Perfect. All right, cool. Now this is the horizontal axis of our shape. And now we can see the same process applied on two levels. When you draw, you're going to try to figure out each of these lines one at a time. But how? If you're having trouble following, try this instead. I'm just gonna... Shep won't mind if I borrow this. So I added this skewer, and this skewer is traveling across the center of each of these shapes. So now you can use this line. You can start with your basic shape and draw lines straight across it. Your guide shapes should, in most cases, line up with these lines. Now that you have this basic idea figured out, you'll need to figure out where to place your lines for various subjects. Here's a few different layouts you can use as starting points. So for human heads, you can start with a circle, but human heads aren't super round to begin with, so try slicing off the sides of the circle to create a flat area. This is where the cheekbone and the ear would generally be. Go ahead and continue the cross-section lines across the slice. Using this method, you can kind of rotate the head in any way you like and still have a good base structure. For furry and animal heads, follow the same process, but tweak your shapes based on what you see in your photo references. Some heads might be wider, some heads might be taller, some heads might be more square, but just keep referencing those photos and you'll start to kind of get an idea of what shapes build what. So here's your next exercise. We're going to be drawing circles and squares again.
Again?
Yes, but this time we're going to add the guidelines we covered here. This exercise is going to help you practice seeing through objects using your mind's eye. A small pro tip to help you visualize, try drawing the lines on the front heavier and darker, but draw the lines on the back thinner or lighter. You can do this by pressing down harder with your pencil or by having a pressure-sensitive brush on your digital art software. This can help give the illusion of distance, which can help you kind of see through these things better. So practice this exercise and keep it up. You're doing great so far. If you have any difficulties, let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to help you out. All right, keep up that practice, and I can't wait to see how you improve. All right, it's time for the sign off. Remember to hydrate, eat right, and get 8 hours of sleep a night, and I'll see you next time. Keep drawing and have a great day. Bye, friend.